Your team logs 40-hour weeks, yet output stalls completely. 68% of leaders pour money into feel-good events that change nothing. The truth hurts. You lead workshops and get temporary smiles, but Monday, deadlines slip and confusion returns. It's not motivation, it's productivity void. No metrics track real progress. Here are 3 simple fixes that boost output by 25%. Ready to diagnose yours? Part 1 shows exactly how. Stay with me. The frustration you don't say out loud. You sit in meetings that feel productive. You talk, you brainstorm, you nod. You leave thinking something moved forward. Then, Friday hits. Nothing actually shipped. You assign tasks. You wait. Crickets. You check Slack. 50 messages. 0 progress. You start wondering, is it motivation? Is it skill? Is it culture? You feel guilty even thinking that. But you know something isn't working. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't have a people problem. You have a structure problem. And until you see it clearly, you'll keep feeding the productivity void. Why fun doesn't fix output? You want your team to feel connected. You care. You want trust. You run activities that boost morale. But you never tie those activities to measurable behavior. You measure vibes. You don't measure output. You ask, did everyone enjoy it? You don't ask, did output increase? That tiny shift changes everything. Because productivity doesn't rise from bonding alone. Productivity rises from clarity, and clarity requires measurement. Pause. You might resist that, because measurement feels cold, but clarity is kindness. And you'll see why in a minute. Quick diagnosis, be honest with yourself. You don't need a survey, you need honesty. You miss deadlines by more than 2 days. You end meetings without naming one clear owner. You duplicate work without realizing it. You struggle to measure individual contribution. You feel busy, but unsure who moved what forward. If you nodded more than twice, you feel the productivity void in real time. You can fix this in 7 days. But first, you need to understand the 3 pressure points killing your output, the 3 levers that change everything. You don't need complicated systems, you need measurable friction. Let's start simple. 1. The weekly output scoreboard. You define 3 measurable outputs per week. Not intentions, not effort, outputs. You publish 3 articles. You close 5 calls. You complete 2 sprints. You review results every Friday. You don't discuss how hard people worked. You look at what's shipped. That's it. You create visibility. You eliminate invisible work. You remove ambiguity. You feel resistance here. You might think this creates pressure, but clarity reduces anxiety. Research from Harvard Business Review shows teams with clearly defined measurable goals improve performance by up to 25%. You don't need hype, you need numbers. You think this is about accountability, it's actually about psychological safety. I'll explain that in a moment. 2. The 48-hour accountability sprint. You assign every task with a clear owner. You attach a 48-hour deadline. You measure completion rate. You calculate tasks assigned versus tasks completed on time. You see patterns immediately. You see who overcommits. You see who undercommunicates. You see where approvals stall. You stop guessing. You start seeing. And this is where productivity void gets exposed. You talk more, but deadlines slip. You add meetings, you add threads, you add quick check-ins, you feel movement, but nothing ships. You collaborate more, but nobody tracks who owns what. You assume someone handled it, you realize no one did. That's the productivity void. You confuse activity with progress. You mistake noise for execution. Measurement collapses it. You assign one owner. You set one deadline. You review one clear outcome. Silence replaces chaos. And here's the truth. You'll feel uncomfortable the first week. You'll see gaps you ignored. That discomfort? It means the system stopped lying. It means clarity finally showed up. 3. The role clarity mapping session. You gather your team in one room. You ask each person to write down their top 5 responsibilities. You compare lists. You circle overlaps. You highlight confusion. You delete duplicates. You assign clear ownership. You don't leave until every core responsibility has one name next to it. You track turnaround time for 30 days after. You measure task completion rate. You watch decision speed. You see something surprising. You see fewer meetings, faster approvals, less frustration. You realize something powerful. You never lack talent. You lack clarity. And when clarity shows up, energy rises. That's why Gallup found employees who clearly understand expectations are 2.8 times more engaged. You don't boost engagement with pizza. You boost engagement with clarity. The 7-day reset plan. You want structure. Here it is. Day 1. You introduce the weekly output scoreboard. Day 2-3. You track publicly. Day 4. You launch the 48-hour sprint. Day 5. You calculate completion rate. Day 6. You run the role clarity mapping session. Day 7. You redefine roles and set 30-day metrics. You don't wait for next quarter. You don't overthink it. You execute. You won't feel transformation immediately. You'll see it in numbers first. Feelings follow data. Why this feels so personal? You don't want to be the rigid leader. You want to be respected. You want trust. You want flow. But you confuse softness with kindness. You avoid measurement to protect morale. You accidentally protect confusion instead. And confusion quietly drains performance. You stare at your dashboard. It flatlines, despite 40-hour weeks. That's productivity void again. And here's the truth you don't say out loud. You feel responsible. You wonder if you're missing something obvious. You're not. You just need structure. You choose what kind of leader you become. You run comfortable workshops, or you build measurable growth systems. You prioritize harmony, or you prioritize clarity. You don't need to become strict. You need to become intentional. You end productivity void now. You install a scoreboard. Assign ownership in what matters. You watch numbers climb. 4 things you'll notice first. You notice the shift quietly. You walk into meetings. They end early. You don't chase decisions anymore. You open Slack. Fewer messages. More completed threads. You check your dashboard. More shipped work. Less noise. You don't feel chaos. You don't feel forced urgency. You feel calm execution. You feel control returning. And that psychological safety, you build it through clarity. You say what matters. You assign one owner. You define the deadline. People stop guessing. People stop overthinking. People breathe. You remove ambiguity. You replace it with direction. You don't push harder. You lead clearer. And everything starts moving. One final question. You already know morale isn't the issue. You feel the strain in your chest when numbers don't move. You see the effort. You don't see the results. You hesitate. You worry clarity will create tension. You worry measurement will feel harsh. You worry someone will push back. So you soften it. You delay it. You hope it fixes itself. It doesn't. You don't protect your team by avoiding hard data. You protect them by removing confusion. You don't create pressure with clarity. You create safety. You don't build performance by guessing. You build it by facing the truth, calmly, directly, together. If this hit close to home, comment measured growth. If you're starting the 7-day reset, comment 7D way. In the next video, you'll uncover the hidden productivity killer inside your communication systems and why adding more meetings makes it worse. You don't need more energy. You need clarity. You don't need more bonding. You need measurement. You don't need motivation. You need structure. End productivity void. Start building predictable output. Because productivity isn't accidental. You build it.